Welcome to the Switch Style Podcast, where we encourage you to think beyond what you hear. I'm your host, and I go by the name of Smooth. And audience, welcome back to the podcast. This is actually episode 61. And on this episode, I'll actually update the Billboard charts for you guys. I'll let you know what's coming out this Friday, June 2nd. And last but not least, I'll give you my take on Harry Styles' self-titled debut album. And audience, if you don't know Harry Styles, he's a member of One Direction who's currently on an indefinite hiatus. But I'll tell you guys more about that later on in the podcast. But before I jump into anything, I want to let you guys know you can find this podcast and all other 60 episodes on iTunes, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, and YouTube. And also, you can find the podcast and my take at jacksjournal.com. That's JACSjournal.com. And also follow me on Twitter at jcsjournal.com. So let's go ahead and jump into it. On the Billboard 200, rock stars Linkin Park grabbed the top spot with their 7th album, One More Light, which earned 111,000 units. 100,000 of those were traditional album sales. And to note, One More Light is Linkin Park's 6th number one album, and they also became only the 9th rock band in history to chart at least 6 number one albums. Those other 8 groups include the Beatles, which charted 19 number one albums. The Rolling Stones had 9 number one albums. Led Zeppelin, 7. U2, 7. Bon Jovi, Dave Matthews Band, the Eagles, and Metallica all had 6 number one albums. So congrats to Linkin Park for making waves on the 200. And on the Hot 100, Luis Fonsi, Daddy Yankee, and Justin Bieber spent the 3rd week at number 1 with Despacito. And also, Ed Sheeran's Shape of You became the first song in Hot 100 history to spend its first 20 weeks in the Hot 100's top 5. So congrats to Ed Sheeran. And audience, if you didn't know, I also want to congratulate the writers of No Scrubs. And No Scrubs was a TLC record. And I want to congratulate specifically Candy Burris, who's also known for a role currently on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and Tiny. They were both members of the R&B group Escape in the early 90s, and Tiny is also married to rapper T.I. and also Kevin Shakespeare Briggs. So congratulations to all of them. And Shape of You, they were recently added as writers to the song. So congrats to them. And also congrats to Linkin Park, again, Luis Fonsi, Daddy Yankee, and Justin Bieber for making waves on the charts this week. So congrats to all of them. So we'll go ahead and jump to what's new. I'll let you guys know what's coming out this Friday, June 2nd, 2017. So look out for new albums from Grammy-winning pop star Halsey, who's back with her sophomore album, Hopeless Fountain Kingdom. And if you don't remember, Halsey actually scored her first Grammy earlier this year in February for her collaboration with the Chainsmokers. Roger Waters of Pink Floyd, he returns with his latest solo album, Is This the Life We Really Want? Gospel and R&B singer Molly Music is back with The Transition of Molly. Black Keys frontman Dan Auerbach, he returns with his latest album, Waiting on a Song. And I missed a few albums the past few weeks, but I do want to let you guys know that they are out. And the first is Shakira. She's back with her latest album, El Dorado. R&B fan favorite Bryson Tiller, he released his latest album, True to Self. Gucci Mane, he's put out yet another body of work called Drop Top Wop. And R&B singer Guapale, she's back with her latest album, Dream Seeker. So check out all of those albums. Again, Halsey, Hopeless Mountain Kingdom. Roger Waters, Is This the Life We Really Want? Molly Music, The Transition of Molly. Dan Auerbach, Waiting on a Song. And Shakira, El Dorado. Bryson Tiller, True to Self. Gucci Mane, Drop Top Wop. And last but not least, Guapale, Dream Seeker. So check out those albums. And now we can go ahead and jump to what most of you are probably here for. So if you haven't heard any of my reviews before, I'd just like to tell you guys a little bit about the artist before we jump into things, just to bring you up to speed and just to give you, that all-important background information on the artist that I'm talking about. So again, I'm talking about Harry Styles, who's formerly of, well, not formally, but he's actually still with One Direction. They're just taking an indefinite hiatus. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Harry Styles was born February 1st, 1994 in England. In 2010, he appeared on the 7th season of The X Factor, which led to the formation of pop supergroup One Direction. The group released 5 highly successful albums in 5 short years and became one of the world's most popular acts. In August 2015, the remaining members of the group took an indefinite hiatus to launch solo careers. And when I say remaining members, Zayn, he actually departed the group earlier that year in March to pursue his own solo career, and his debut album followed in 2016, which I'll tell you about that in a second. Harry Styles, he also signed a solo deal with Columbia Records in 2016, and his self-titled debut arrived May 12th, 2017. The set earned 230,000 units, 193,000 of those were traditional album sales. Those were in his first week. And Harry Styles, he also became only the second male UK artist to debut at #1 in Billboard 200 history. The only other artist to do that is his former bandmate, Zayn, who I talked about earlier. He debuted at #1 with Mind of Mine in April 2016. So I did want to let you guys know that, and I'll actually go ahead and give you my take on Harry Styles' self-titled debut album. So here we go. In the span of 5 years, in those 5 years I'm speaking about 2011 to 2015, One Direction, they held a unique position in popular music's sprawling ecosystem. The 5-member boy band continued a rich legacy of similarly structured groups before them. Just like the rest of those groups, the inevitable was sure to come. History has taught us that groups normally never last, mainly due to infighting over creative or personal differences. As it turns out, One Direction proved to be no different than their predecessors, but still managed an impressive run nonetheless. Zayn announced his departure from the group in March 2015, and his R&B-leaning debut, Mind of Mine, followed in March 2016. The remaining members of One Direction officially announced an indefinite hiatus in August 2015. Harry Styles then signed a solo deal with Columbia Records in June 2016, and the final 3 members have all released solo material since. In most cases, it is true that the sum is greater than each individual part, but there are exceptions, and some of those exceptions that I'm talking about is Michael Jackson. You saw what he did with the Jackson 5, but he went on to even bigger and greater things. Beyonce did the same thing with Destiny's Child, and Justin Timberlake the same thing with NSYNC. But make no mistake, Harry Styles is yet to reach the level of the aforementioned superstars, and there is no certainty that he will. But his self-titled debut album is a step in the right direction. The album's lead single, Sign of the Times, debuted at #4 on Billboard's Hot 100 upon its release. It slowly escalates towards a climactic chorus and finishes while Styles questions why we never learn from our mistakes, but also encourages us to enjoy our final moments. He feels very abandoned on the Pink Floyd-like Meet Me in the Hallway, and the pace picks up on the shuffling ball of fun Carolina. He feels a lot looser when singing about Carolina's smart and charismatic female muse. To Ghost is a bit more specific lyrically. He gives no hint at an exact love interest, but he speaks of her red lips, blue eyes, and tattoos in a most nostalgic and longing way. The acoustically distant sweet creature is a common breakdown in communication that most relationships suffer, but he never forgets memories of the love that always brings him home. Only Angel is a bit of heaven on earth. The angelic intro feels like you're ascending to heaven and then drops you right in the middle of a set with the Rolling Stones. The party continues on the Fuzzy Kiwi. He sure seems to like his women wild and insane. Kiwi features a cigarette-smoking and hard liquor drinking persona who's driving him crazy. Ever Since New York doesn't offer much lyrically, but the pleading chorus is simply irresistible. The Selfish Woman channels fellow England native Elton John, and From the Dining Table brings the album to a descriptive close. He has his most isolated and lonesome moment on Dining Table. He sings about his phone missing her call in the same way that he desires interaction with her, and even has a conversation with his ex's friend who's now wearing his t-shirt. For now, Harry Styles is an excellent debut that draws upon rock music in all of its variants. But it still leaves you wondering who Harry Styles is and what he will become musically. His self-titled debut proves that he's well-versed in rock and takes his cues from the past. More importantly, it proves that the pop-driven sound of his former group is fully behind him. Harry Styles is now his own man and artist. Looking forward, it will be interesting to see if he can find his way and maybe even become a part that's greater than the whole. So there you go, audience. That's my take on Harry Styles' debut album, his self-titled debut album, and it's a really good album. I was highly impressed with it, and if I had a problem with it, it's that it's not original. It's not necessarily original or creative. He takes a lot of cues from the past. Like I said, he sounds more like everyone else instead of himself. And honestly, we don't know what Harry Styles will become musically. We don't know what he sounds like yet. We don't know what type of style he will develop, but I'm very interested to see what happens on his sophomore album. So I'm really excited about that. I know it might be a year, 2-3 years out, but I'm interested to see what happens. But all of the One Direction members have released their own solo material. Only Zayn and Harry have released albums as of yet. So we'll see what the rest of them do. But I'm excited about Harry and his future. You know, a lot of people leave boy bands or just band groups in general, and it doesn't work out. But he's off to a really good start, and I'm impressed with it. I can't wait to see where he goes next. But if you're a fan of classic rock, you definitely need to have this one. If you're a fan of One Direction, you should get it, because if you like One Direction, I can't say that you'll like this one, because he pretty much steers completely away from pop music, which I don't have a problem with at all. But if you're a fan of One Direction, you'll probably go get it just because of who he is, and you still should support him. But I'm happy for Harry Styles. But again, if you like classic rock, you'll love this album. I mean, you hear hints of Elton John, Pink Floyd, anybody that you can think of in 70s rock. There are hints of a lot of people in his music, Led Zeppelin. So I'm excited for I'm excited about the album that he put together, and audience, you should be too. So check it out. But thanks again for listening. I appreciate everybody that's listening right now. Thank you for those who listen every week. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your continued support, and I hope you guys continue to listen each and every week. But if you want to get in contact with me, reach out to me on Twitter. You can email me at switchstylepodcast@gmail.com. And also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, and YouTube. And thanks again for listening, everybody. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.